si borono keep lengi sabalo dung deng walk be makso nona si borono keep lengi sabalo dung deng. Walk be makso nona si borono keep lengi sabalo dung deng man mantra no iflalakrana
I'd like to wish you a pleasant day here and tomorrow. Look forward to seeing everyone here our clients in our blessed Christmas 2005 New Year. Here, let's see everyone any of our clients and thank you for flying with the lights of PNG. Thank you.
I think the objectives are relatively clear. As being an oil company in PNG, our objective is based on producing as much oil as we possibly can to drive up total shareholder return. But in saying that, there's a number of other objectives that come off that, which we need to do to be able to operate here. And we have objectives associated with production, objectives associated with cost management, and objectives associated with the way we relate to the community. And underlying that, of course, we have a number of safety objectives, because without operating the business safely, we won't be able to operate the business. The same goes for working with the community. If we can't work with the community, we will not be able to run a business here in PNG.
Meeting us a landflow place on the clear. On the clear, company can make one of something. Companies are giving money. All yama masla tisra. All not Indian law. All not Indian law behind blood.
You know, we're in a very remote, rugged. This is not the kind of bush that you just go for a bushwalk in. This is cast limestone, dangerous country. You know, sparsely populated. My view is I can see a time where you could walk outside here and we'll be standing back in the jungle again.
When the company goes away, what will happen?
Yeah, well, I would hope that by the time that comes about, it's another 50 odd years, and I would hope that in 50 years that the landscape around here from an infrastructure point of view and a business point of view is completely different. I would hope that these communities start to develop interests that are broader than the oil and gas industry. Now, that's a hope, and I believe we have a role to play in that, to try and shape that, but I also believe the government has a role, and I believe the communities have a role in shaping that.
I don't think, right in the village, I don't see there's a development there. There's none.
When the oil company goes, I think people will suffer. Like most of them, they don't usually budget their money very wisely. So I think when the company goes, I think some of them will get hard times.
I think when the old company goes, to my own, as a local person, they will go back to where they were before.
And I believe I'm step one kind of before we start running. I think some company go back and by this lifestyle by adapting go back before we start running. You know not bad change, we believe it.
Me or something from me also sometime company do should sell press at the road and organization by program. Common meeting Emma made the common by you have look at it.
I don't think the isolation of this region alone will help development. I think that most development is based on some form of economic or social benefits that come with an area. And I think that government resources to be able to provide the social benefits in particular will limit what they do here. But then I think the community as well as the government has to look at what economies do they want to sustain in these rural areas. I really think that the key to development here is particularly the government and the people, government at national and provincial level, thinking about the social and the economic development that they want to provide in these areas. Now, if economic development is too difficult to start with, because there is an economy because of the oil and gas project, then they need to focus on the social development. And then when they get the social development right, then they need to start to say, well, we've got time. Now let's look at what sort of economies do we want to develop in these remote areas. Is it an economy that will be driven by agriculture, whether it be coffee, vanilla or some other form of agriculture? What other business enterprises can be successfully set up in these areas that will support an economy when the oil and gas is gone? And that's what needs to be looked at. And something that's environmentally sensitive, not something that's pillaging the beautiful environment that they basically have. If law and order can be guaranteed, or from an external perspective, if people can see PNG being a safe place to visit, then ecotourism is a fantastic opportunity here, absolutely fantastic opportunity. But people won't come if they don't feel it's safe. I'm not saying it's not safe, but there is a perception externally that it's not safe. I don't believe that the government is blatantly trying to avoid its responsibilities in these communities, but I don't believe they fully understand what is required to meet all the promises that they make. If the government draws a hard line on infrastructure development, whether it be health, education, policing, transport infrastructure, and is honest with the people about what can and can't be delivered, and then explains to the people how they're planning to provide those types of services to these communities, I think we would all be much better off, rather than the government saying, yes, we will give you this, 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 this and this, and then being unable to fund it.
People have become reliant on the cash, you know, and that's their right under the law. But you know, should there be more responsibility taken to help people manage that, you know, for some sustainable benefits? What has been happening basically is people spend the money on material items, you know, cars, boats, more wives. Oh yeah, Kutubu people are discriminated against terribly, I believe, you know, by surrounding, which puts an awful amount of pressure on them from, you think, because really that whole, you know, a strong culture is reliant on the opportunity to have a transaction, if you like, and, you know, with other groups of people, whether it be, you know, things you need and want. Obviously, women, brides, you know, very important. And yeah, it's put them under a lot of pressure. You know, if they know it's a Kutubu man, you know, trying to buy a wife, there's a good 10 grand or more on top. Yeah, but it has happened, and they have paid, and you know. You know, interestingly, like, you know, people will buy items, you know, cars and stuff, but whereas, say for example in Australia, you know, there's a material culture of these items, you know, and there's facilities and resources to repair them, and, you know, some mechanical background, if you like, you know. And what happens here is they'll use it, it'll break, and it'll get chucked away, and they'll have to buy a new one. You know what I mean? It's a big lot of waste. But you know, it's people's money. Who are we to say how they should spend it, I suppose? Yeah, I mean, they've gone from obviously, you know, being a hunter-gatherer type, you know, semi-agriculturist, not like the Huli, but you know, type people, to having, you know, access to money, you know.